Hello, welcome back to Talk Seagulls. And yeah, it's been 3 months, I think, it's roughly, here at give or take. We're back at the Caxton Arms for the first time in a long time. It feels really weird, I've got to be honest. So I'm just going by whatever comes to mind at this stage. But we're back after a long break, a needed break. It's been a weird time, but I'm back with Luke, mate. I've still been seeing you pretty regularly anyway. So
Nando's, air hockey, great top.
Nando's and air hockey. No, it's been a weird few months, mate. But yeah, we're back. How are you feeling?
Yeah, good. Obviously, we've been doing some other stuff in the meantime. Obviously, still going to football and that, which, has been up and down, which we'll get into.
Yeah.
But yeah, all right, man.
Yeah.
Busy as well.
I've got to say as well, before we get into the other stuff, but Talk Seagulls, Bronze Award winners, by the way. Thank you very much for voting for me. By the way, that is insane. We've got an award for the backdrop for the rest of the season. Well, not just the rest of the season, it's going to stay in the backdrop for ages now. Because it's got 2025 on it, so it stays dated. We've got to get updated when it's 2026. But a Bronze Award Best Premier League podcast, I mean, I'm pretty happy with that. The winners of it were Leeds fans and we're at Ellen Road. So, do you know what? I'm not saying anything, but maybe that's technically a silver. I'm just joking. Credit to them. They deserved, I'm sure, their win. But I'm happy with that, mate. It's pretty good.
Yeah, you're not going to complain, are you?
No. Come away from Ellen Road with a point. It's not bad.
It's not going to happen later in the season, you know it.
To be honest, I call that 3 points, to be honest. It's like the first time what's it? I think the first time Talk Seagulls got into the FCA's nominees category, I think, was 2018, I think. So that's first award out of being in the finals for so long. I think I was in the finals last year for podcast, and I think we got nominated for Best Club Content Creator. But to come away with an award is pretty cool, and obviously score 90 as well. So shout out those guys with the silver. But a pretty successful night to come back to. You got to have something to come back to.
Yeah, it's been it was weird. It was weird because I remember just sitting in work and being like, oh God, like refreshing, being like, oh, did we win? Did we win? And I saw it come up bronze. I was like, what?
Yeah.
Because you put up the story. I was like, whoa.
Yeah, I was trying to keep it updated for everyone as well, but a bronze feels like a good one.
No, it is a good one. I went out and celebrated. I was like, oh, I'm not there, so I was like, oh, I'll go out for a drink.
Have a drink anyway. It's an
like,
excuse to drink.
Right, my pub won something as well, so we were like, yeah, it was some vegan food challenge thing. So,
so it's Brighton Pub Award of all time.
Yeah, but they were like, oh, we're going out for a drink. I was like, yeah, I'll go out for a drink. Don't remember getting home, so went out for one drink and then don't remember anything.
Yeah.
Classic.
So I say as well, thank you to all the people in real life, because I've been going to games still, and so many people have just come up and been like, when's Talk Seagulls coming back? And it's kind of weird to think about the fact that we're sat, should I say, in a pub in Brighton on our own. There's no one around upstairs or anything. And you think the impact it has. I mean, I think Brett said it on Twitter as well with Fair Play. There was Americans come in here. They travelled all the way from America to come to Brighton, and part of their trip was to come here because they watched Talk Seagulls. I find that mind blowing.
That is bad.
And the amount of people that come up and just be like, "You're all right? How are you? You good? Like, where have you been?" I thought that's mad. You just put stuff on your phone, and it's like people actually want to see how you are. It's quite weird, really.
Yeah. I saw a few tweets. Obviously, when you were gone. Just like wondering how you were and all that, and people actually genuinely checking in for the amount of hate you do get.
Well, that's it.
I was quite surprised.
Well, this is the thing, right? It's actually a good point, because the hate stuff I think I got to a stage that doesn't really matter anymore. But you never see these people in real life. That's what I always think. I've never get a situation in real life where someone comes up to them like, I hate you, you're an idiot. Just doesn't really happen, Whereas the people that are actually nice actually come up and start speaking to you and want to talk to you and ask your opinion on the game, but also just ask how I am. I had one at United a few weeks ago, and it's just like, how are you, Ryan? I was like, yeah, I'm good, man. No, how are you? And I was like, yeah, thanks for asking. Because it's kind of weird, isn't it? People actually want to talk to you. But it's very cool. But I thought I should say that because, a lot of people have come up, and I'm sorry I don't remember everyone's names and stuff, because it's especially when you go to Palace, the away end's so crammed. You get people say something I forget. But it has been a bit of a mad one. But it is quite nice that people still come up and sort of say hello, because you know, it just makes you feel a little bit more real, doesn't it? When you go into these games, you're a little bit more anxious than normal, and you're a bit like, you know, are people going to be nice? Are they not? Are people going to sort of take the mick out of you? Are they not?
Yeah.
But it doesn't. You don't really get the negativity, which is quite nice nowadays.
Yeah, it's been it's been a weird few months, hasn't it? It's been odd, but it is nice to see people actually like giving a shit and actually caring instead of just being knobs. Like you see, like we can see so often, like especially with our fan base and how fickle we can be sometimes. There's always one side going against the other, but yeah, it's nice to see that. Especially
I think when it comes to it as well, you know, like I always think that about football. When it comes to it, it's incredible, and that's one thing that has happened, especially with the Chichester stuff. And them giving me this armband, which I need to say thank you to Chichester City. And I'm sure that someone from Chai will be watching this. The guy that did give me that, he was like really appreciative of sort of the fact we're doing the podcast. I said that we'd make sure to do a fair tribute. And also I spoke with Ollie last night, and I spoke with his family sort of, you know, a few weeks ago, just to make sure that we're going to do this. So this will stay in the podcast backdrop for a while. Billy was, one of our friends from back when we were younger. Oh, this is not very nice, is it? And it's just really strange. I think it's definitely been one of those that's shaken us up a lot. And I think, you know, you lose track with people because obviously he went to Arsenal when he was about 14, 15. And it's like mad. I remember him coming back to us and being like, he's seeing Aubameyang and all this in training. And I was like, oh my God. And I think I offered him, when I used to run an account, I was like, I'll post your clips of your videos or something. And I think, that's the last time I DM'd him, unfortunately. But yeah, I spoke with Ollie. We saw each other a couple of weeks ago for the first time in years, which is really strange. And yeah, it's just like, there's no love lost. I think it's the good thing.
Yeah.
You go back and you see these people and it's really good. And yeah, we grew up together. We still went on the Wii, obviously, after everything happened, and just see that he's still top of all the leaderboards, which is really strange. And it's one of them we haven't seen him in such a long time. Mum saw him sort of just before it, and then that was really strange because he was going to come on this podcast as part of an idea. We thought it'd be good because he was starting his personal training content, and I thought it'd be quite a good opportunity to get him on, just to be like, you know. And Mum mentioned it, and I was like, that could be quite a good idea. And that was literally all within the last sort of couple of weeks of it all going on around September. And I think that's why it becomes such a shock, I think. Yeah. Because it was all quite recency stuff, if you know what I mean. Yeah,
we obviously everyone doesn't know this, but we obviously went out around a month ago or a month or so ago. Came to the Caxton actually for a quiz, and we went just for a pint, just to chat about stuff, didn't we? Sat in the play air hockey, went to Nando's, all that, and just talked about it all. And obviously, we've already gone through everything you just said, but yeah, I've never really experienced it, so I don't know like what it would be like, and I've never really had that sort of shock. Obviously, stuff's happened, and you can get sort of caught up in it, and you get really sort of taken aback by it. But I've never experienced anything like that. But like, if I was going through your situation and I had that sort of stuff happen to me, I don't know how the hell I would have like handled it. And like, I'm quite surprised in any way we've even still been doing stuff, even for like TSR and all that.
Yeah, I think it's a bit of like, you got to keep going as well. But I think, like in terms of Talk Seagulls, it was not right to come back for a while. Yeah, I think unfortunately, like there is a lot of trolls with this, and I think it just wasn't really worth my while. No offense, like I love Brighton, but it wasn't really worth me putting it into it and then getting anyone say this and that. I thought, I can't really be bothered with it, in all honesty.
And we're so inconsistent. What you're going to say?
Yeah,
we were
like
good.
Brighton is so up and down. We're not great half the time, and I'm like, I didn't want to come on a podcast. We've lost the game, and I think I'm going to then start saying, we've been really bad, and then everyone's going to be like, oh, Ryan, you're an idiot. And I just thought, I can't really be bothered with all that sort of stuff at the minute. So I'm normally quite thick-skinned, but especially with the stuff with Bill, and I was like, I just didn't want to make anything look like everything's just fine, because it would have looked like, say I went to the funeral and then I'm filming the next week, and then it's like, oh, Ryan's still posting, and I'm like, yeah, well, that's really not how it is. So I think it was appropriate to have a media blackout, and a lot of people were obviously asking where I was and what was going on, but I think those like yourself knew that something was wrong.
It's better, like, I mean, as much as obviously like people who watch and like fans of the channel and the podcast might want to know, obviously it's not something for them to know, especially not at that time. You take your time, you work out when you want to tell people, and then you tell people. Obviously for me and you, we know each other pretty well at this point, and I messaged you pretty soon after, just being like, oh, what was going on, because I saw your tweets just as it happened, and then after like everything, the moment you mentioned about let's go to this quiz, I was like, yeah, well, let's just do something before it and just try and take your mind off it, because we don't just want to.
Yeah, it was sort of bad enough with it being the injury. I think that was bad enough, and I think trying to reassure that you'd be all right was really difficult, and like trying not to message too much and not get involved too much. So I still went to, I think it was the Chelsea game. I missed the Wolves game, and there was like a couple of games in there where I was really just not really that interested. Because when the injury happened, I think you had like a week in between, and then sort of finding out and then waiting, and then obviously you hear about it that morning, and then it's out in the media and everywhere by the evening, and it's like you couldn't go scroll without seeing it. And it was too much exposure, probably too soon, especially for God knows how their family was with it.
This is the thing, like, for someone who does their job and they have to be online, you wouldn't be able to get away from something like that. And I can't, like, as I say, I've never experienced anything like a friend of mine just like suddenly passing, for example. But like it being so out there in the media and it being such like common knowledge that to so many people that it happened, like when you're trying to be like, trying to get your head in order, trying to be like, is he going to be all right? Is he going to be okay? And you just keep seeing article after article. I don't even know how you can handle it, to be honest.
No, it was too much too soon, as I say. And I think, that funeral just, I was not good there. But as his dad said to me, is they really want to make the point, and I said that I'd help them, and that is how it happened is unacceptable. At any level is unacceptable, and it should never ever ever happen. And we shouldn't be sat here saying this, because it's not like something predictable has happened. It's not like it was expected. It's not like he was at fault. It's not like there was anything like that. It's completely freak accident, and it's something that you're playing football. You shouldn't go to football and not come home, no matter what. And
for a fan, for a player, for anyone.
For anyone. Yeah. And like you have these situations at games, like particularly with nowadays with the head injuries.
Yeah.
And this will now always annoy me. Head injuries used to get me a lot because I had concussion a lot. And that like wiped me out for a good 6 months. And I used to get really passionate about the fact head injuries are in the game, and it was a good idea to put this head injuries in, the substitutions. But I always thought it was wrong by how players then exploited it. And I stand by the fact that if players exploit it for their own personal gain, and I stand by this on our own players, if our own players doing it, I would shout them down the same as in opposition.
Yeah.
Because you should not fake head injuries. Because if you do, you're setting a complete wrong precedent. It's like the boy who cried wolf, innit? And you don't want that situation where someone actually is injured or someone's down, there's a serious problem. That's why they're so serious.
Yeah.
Because it's life or death. And, you need to be proactive with it. And I think that's something needs to change in that regard. Like at the top level, the Premier League has to change the head injuries. They have to change the rules around it. If a player's faking a head injury, he's got to either be sent off, he's got to be suspended, do something drastic, because it will set that level of seriousness across why that's there. It's not a joke, and it's not instant either. Sometimes it could take a couple of days.
Yeah.
When I concussion, it took me 24 hours to feel it. So that day I was fine. I come back, wasn't it? And that next morning I was walloped. I couldn't do anything, and I was walloped for about 6 months. And like sometimes not instant. It's a brain injury, so things can change. And obviously with this case, it was completely horrible. So, that needs to change. And as I say, the health and safety around that whole situation at that football club is horrendous, should I say. But yeah, that's poor. But for Billy's sake, I didn't want to leave his name out of anything now. So yeah, I'm really gutted that I'm having to say all of this stuff in hindsight. But yeah, I wanted to just do this for him. And thanks for listening to that. And I won't cry, so it's fine.
How are you now, anyway?
I'm all right. Yeah, I felt like I was ready to come back as of sort of the last couple of weeks. I could have come back sooner, but I didn't want to because it was too raw. And I made the same mistake with my dad at the beginning of the year, and that's mad. That's even this year. But I came straight back into it. It was such a silly decision. I did some shoots weeks after, and it was some of my worst work I've ever done. Yeah. I felt so bad that I was getting paid to go somewhere and then just let them down. So that's not how I like to operate at all. Yeah. And I'm very honest. So I was very honest with them, and I said that was not good enough. And yeah, I mean, it happens, but I think with this one, I was like, I'm not making the same mistake of just pushing through it, because you can't, like, for me, it's like I can recall games from front to back like nothing else. But then in the last sort of year, really, this last season, really, I probably couldn't do that so much. And I didn't want to fake it by coming on this and then doing an episode or something and then getting it all wrong. And also just out of respect of obviously everyone as well.
This is the thing, like, sometimes you do just need a bit of time away. And I said that to you probably more than I've said anything over the past few like months. Like, because you keep being, honestly, the amount of times you said to me, "Oh, do you want to? Should we film this week? Should we do that? Should we do that? I don't know if I'm ready. I don't know if I want to do this now, but I want to come back." And I've just been like, "Mate, just take the time, innit?" And like, being able to talk so openly about it. Now, obviously, we spoke about it, as I've already said, we spoke about it before, but like, being able to speak about it so openly now shows that you are at a point where you feel happy to go back into something like this. And like, even if like next week, say we don't do a podcast, fine, man. Like,
I'm back now.
But everyone deals with stuff like this in different ways, and like, and it is nice to see that people have genuinely been quite respectful of like your time away and all that, and have actually, again, given a shit. So yeah, it's good. And like, with it all being talking about like obviously problems with mental health and all that, and like, I mean, I've had stuff with OCD and anxiety for years and all that, but obviously not a whole lot of people know about that. But like, you need to really look after yourself, and that starts with, you know, sometimes just giving yourself some time and just working out. To be honest, working out what the fuck is going on. There's no better way of going about it, because it takes fucking time. Usually, at some point, you will work yourself out if you give yourself some time, and you give yourself that break. And I mean, it was just as, like, when we spoke about it, it was just as easy as, oh, let's go for a pint before we go to this quiz. Let's go get some food. We had more than one pint, but you know, it's never one pint. That's the problem. Oh, let's go for a pint. 18 later. Yeah.
Right, there's too many pubs to go for one pint.
I love you. That's what always happens at the end of the night. But yeah, it's good to see you back. And I can definitely see, since that night we last went out, I mean, this probably helps you a little bit.
It does help, yeah.
That definitely does help. But since that night we went out, you definitely seem better. And we've been absolutely on one the past few weeks, haven't we?
Yeah, grinding
really been on one, yeah.
No, thank you, mate. Yeah, it's been mad. It's been a mad year. And I think it's difficult because obviously, like, I'm not Ollie or anything, and I just constantly think of how they are and how they must be thinking and whatever every day.
Yeah.
So when they see this, like, I'm being honest, and yeah, hopefully I see him again sort of soon. But he'll see this before it goes out, that's for sure. And this is probably my way of being, like, I can be more articulate with my thoughts probably on these, because I feel like I'm in the zone of doing a podcast, opposed to, obviously, if you went and talked to someone, you probably wouldn't be quite so open. But for other words, it's like, yeah, it's good to be back. But I think when you're doing this, it's like you're always on camera. People are always seeing like what you're doing, Like that's now become my job, and I love it because I've always wanted to do drama. I've always wanted to be an actor. I've always wanted to be in presenting worlds. It's great, but like because people see you, that's then what they think of you, and I'm like no, because there's so much other stuff going on, and I'm sort of putting on this other character to be a free, like presenter and whatever, and you know, I wanted to take the time to come back to that world, and then you know I wanted it to all sort of flow better as opposed to just you know filming and people thinking it's all fine or whatever, and he can't be that bad or something, you know what I mean? Yeah. So because I think that's the mistake I made sort of beginning of the year, and it was like just sort of put a front onto it and it looked fine, and I think I just wasn't into it, to be honest. I didn't really watch many of the games at the end of last season. I lost a lot of interest in it. To be honest, I'm quite glad we didn't get Europe in a way, 'cause I wouldn't have remembered it. And it wouldn't have been going to the games. So, yeah, it all happens for a reason anyway. But yeah, hopefully that was I think it's come out all right.
You've gained perspective now as well. Yeah. You know what to do when you're in that sort of mindset. Yeah. You know to pull yourself away, and you know that that's okay to pull yourself away. Yeah. And I feel like if you hadn't have had that respect from other people, you wouldn't have really. No, you wouldn't really feel that way.
I've never like taken a break off anything either. Yeah, like even Talk Seagulls, I've been doing it for literally my whole life. Like Talk Seagulls has been a thing since 2012, 13. So yeah, that's literally my whole life pretty much. Ever since I was old enough to start writing longer the sentences, like I've been writing on Talk Seagulls. And the fact that that's a thing is mad. But in that whole time, I've covered pretty much every single game. Even when I was working in a supermarket, like I was still posting at half time. I was still posting when I got a chance. So, yeah, feeling better now. I think, hopefully that point got across. And, I'm sure there'll be another opportunity where we mention stuff again. But this will definitely be staying. I'm not decided whether I leave it on my arm or whether I put it in the backdrop. I think if anyone's got this far into the podcast, they can let me know what's better to do. But for now, it will stay on my arm, and maybe I'll put it on that award so it can sit on there for the rest of the season or beyond. But yeah, hopefully, I think I did enough with the tribute. I'm thinking, should I have done more, and should I have said this? And all I've been thinking about since I've said that all is just I've been thinking about all the old childhood memories now. I don't know about you, but that's all I've been thinking about. I've been thinking of like all the random nights and stuff after school and whatever. So yeah, it's just weird how the brain works, isn't it? I'm like, oh yeah, I'm going to do a podcast, and then the last actual 20 minutes, I've probably just been thinking about playing FIFA. Like last night, I went on the Notes app on my phone, and I saw, I think it was 2015, and it was all the clubs that we picked for a FIFA tournament, which is just really weird. But yeah, I've just been thinking of stuff like that, to be honest. But you can add that into the tribute now if you want. Still beat me on FIFA. Still beat me at everything, to be honest. That's the thing about Village. Beat me at everything. Beat everyone at everything. The reason we realised he was good was he used to be in his garden, and when we play football, he'd have a powerful shot, but it'd be about 10. You'd be like, no 10-year-old has a powerful shot.
That was me in Wales. There was one kid who just had this ridiculously powerful shot, and he never made it to football. I think he's a rugby player now, but he...
Still an athlete of some description.
Yeah, right? I remember he broke a kid's wrist. Well, the kid was thinking, he broke his wrist because his shot was so powerful. Like, Jesus Christ.
I think he broke his net. I feel like I remember him breaking the goal net in his garden. I remember that happening. And I was like, God, this, like, how? Like, everyone he's a few years younger than me. And I remember that very, very well. And also the slide. Remember the slip and slide? I wonder if Ollie remember this, actually. The slip and slide. I made a big slip and slide all the way down from the top of the garden. It was great fun, that was. And these little
covered in mud by the end of it, though.
Yeah, I used to do digging in mud. Just to get spades and just dig holes until we hit pipes.
Are you dogs?
Yeah. Yeah, so many random memories. But yeah, really weird. But yeah, there's things to laugh about, things to smile about as well. Just a shame it's all sort of come at the wrong time, I guess. But at least Brighton won, mate.
Yeah. That is something. I mean, it wasn't the most exciting game in the world, was it? But
no, it was bad, and that's what I thought as well. I thought, God, I'll come back after Brentford, and we got to about 70 minutes, and I thought, could something happen? And it was the classic Brighton one, wasn't it, where we just didn't really do much for a bit, and then turned it on.
I don't even think we really turned it on, to be honest.
Moments of class.
I think genuinely, I mean, I'm quite happy with it, if I'm honest. I mean, obviously going to be happy with a win, but like, there's been so many games before where we play a team like that and we get a few chances, some really good chances, we just don't take them. And like the other day, we took our chances and we didn't play the best, but we got over the line. I know obviously it took a really poor penalty, but you can't take anything away from Bar. Obviously, it's 94th minute, you still got to save the penalty. But I don't think we did play very well at all. Really don't think it was a great performance, but more than happy with it, with a win. And it's a sort of game we just never, ever, ever win, in my opinion. Never win. And it's one of those where it probably didn't really deserve it in the long run because Brentford were definitely better. And I've been quite surprised by how good Brentford have been this season.
Yeah, they've set up really well first half.
Yeah, they've been really good. And Thiago looks really good as well. But
still celebrating now, I heard. Sorry, Brett, I nicked that one off you.
Yeah, he's there for ages, wasn't he?
Yeah.
I was just like, I was actually going to the toilet. I was just saying this to Ryan before the podcast. I was on my way to the toilet as the ball went through, and then Belieber took him down, and I was just like, I just went, oh. Yeah. I looked back up at the guy at the end of my row, and I was like, right, I'm coming back up. I'll wait there with you for a minute. And
yeah.
Belieber pleading his innocence, and I saw people be like,
it was a silly challenge, wasn't it?
I've seen people be like, oh, it's a harsh penalty. Oh, it's a stonewall penalty. What
it's
you
the
want
most
about?
obvious penalty I've ever seen in my life. And Belieber's got to look at himself as well. I think he's been so poor this season. I thought
he did all right up until then, and then he
had the first couple of decent touches, I think, and then he sort of just went to bits again. Like, I think it's become a bit of a weird trend for him. And I wrote a piece earlier, and I said it's been a game of common themes. You know, a lot of things that keep repeating themselves. And I think Belieber's one of them. I think Verbruggen getting better is also one of them.
Yeah.
I think the lack of consistency within the game's one of them. Sort of our reluctance in the first half. You know, we always look a little bit placid. I think we certainly let teams sort of have their way with us, I think, in the first halves of games. For a team that's supposed to be high intensity, start strong, we never do. And if we do, it's quite sporadic, I think, the style. But let's say we won the game, so not be too negative, because obviously the turnaround was unbelievable, and I think the 2 goals were fantastic. But Hinch's one was probably less glamorous, but just as important.
That first goal I loved.
That first goal was the best goal I ever saw, I think. Like, I went through it as well. And I never go for a toilet during the game. I thought, I'll get away with it, this game's dead.
It was sort of out of nowhere, to be fair.
Yeah, that cross from
Minter.
Oh. Mate, and then you're gone for 60 seconds, and then you're like, oh my God, what's happened there? And it's a fantastic ball. I heard it, and I was like,
brilliant centre forward play as well from Welbeck, just getting him behind.
He's just so class, isn't he? I think this season Welbeck's just been, he's been up there, isn't he? Like, in terms of strikers in the league, I think, dare I say, he's getting better at age 34.
Yeah, 35 next week, isn't he?
That's crazy. Like, he's blown me away this season, Welbeck. I think he needed to step up. We needed someone to step up after losing Pedro. There's talk of Jorginho suffering, wasn't there, without having sort of a run-in striker, and I think he still is lacking that a bit. And obviously Welbeck's not going to cover as much distance as Pedro, but the goals he's coming up with this season are just as important.
Yeah, but he's doing that proper poacher sort of play, isn't he? And he's the chances he's getting, he's actually scoring. And that sort of ball in, normally there'd be absolutely no one there. This perfect ball, Welbeck gets in behind, just slides in and just tucks it in the bottom corner, completely out of nowhere.
It's a world-class finish.
It was so good. And I think people talked about it enough. As we say, Hinch's was just one of those ones. It goes bounce into the floor. Keeper's got no chance because of the bounce, pretty much. But you're buzzing for Hinchelwood, surely. You got to be buzzing for him. I'm
buzzing for him. I think he's one of them that, like, you always feel what he feels with Hinch. I think, you know, he's a fan. He's young. He's similar age to us. Like, seeing someone come through from Worthing and making it on the big stage will always feel surreal. But the way the goal come about was just quite funny. It's actually a ball from him and it started the goal, wasn't it? I don't know how he saw Minte all the way from over there. It was a very number 13 Pascal Gross find, to be fair, because he was all the way over on this near side and he just lobs it probably a good 80 yards across the other side of the pitch. Finds Minte. Minte's first touch has been sublime this season.
He's been our best player easily.
Yeah, he's player of the season far.
So good.
Him and Welbeck, but I think Minte edges it for the amount he does in a game.
He's what we need, and on the other side, we are sort of suffering. I know. I really like Kadioglu, and Kadioglu's really come into his own. I think past few games.
But do you think he leaves a bit too much space behind him at times? That for me is my only worry.
Problem is we keep pushing him forward when we bring Goalkeeper on, and then that's not his natural. Obviously, he plays. They say he can play anywhere, but that's not his natural position. I genuinely think he is. I'd say he's probably better than Goalkeeper.
Yeah, I agree.
And I really like him, and he's definitely coming into it.
Goalkeeper's not really shown me much yet. I think he's better going forward, but I think I saw one of our accounts, I think it was Owen,
swap them around,
saying like defenders who can't defend. And I was like, yeah, it's kind of like that. We sign these defenders that aren't actually great defenders. I think we kind of saw it with Biscagli yesterday.
I was going to say, yeah, talk about Biscagli.
Biscagli was.
I don't want to get too like into it because he hasn't played at all, and
it's
we just
weird.
shove him in.
It's one of them weird Brighton signings recently. It's a bit like Dahoud, Cashin, Biscagli. Like we sign these players, and you're like, they clearly don't look that great.
But the thing is with Biscagli, when he's played in other games, he's looked all right. But again, they have been like the League Cup and that. But he really did not show it the other day. But I don't want to get too annoyed because he hasn't played a second in the Premier League.
It's a strange one, I think, how it come about as well. Because obviously I said that Dunk was carrying a knock, which maybe he was. But to me, I read in between it a little bit, and I thought maybe, obviously he's been quite vocal, hasn't he, in the media, wanting to get a chance. So maybe it was one of them where Biscagli wants to play, have 45 minutes against Brentford, similar sort of mid-table side. Yeah. See how you do. 45 minutes later, he obviously gets dragged off, yellow card, probably susceptible for one of the goals, if you're honest with each other. I think, he ran into trouble a lot. He looked quite out of position at times, which is interesting. And I think we have a similar problem on the right side as well with Weaver, where for me, Weaver's just not a right back. And I think
he's not. So.
No, and I just watch it and I think, at what point are we going to admit defeat with this experiment? Maybe just put Kadioglu right and Goalkeeper left, but then Goalkeeper's probably not good enough defensively, maybe you'd say. So I don't know. It's a bit of a strange one at the moment.
It makes no sense because Belieber's been so poor, and we've got
just put Weaver in there.
Very good CDM playing averagely at right back, and I think he can actually have some really good games sometimes.
Yeah, same.
He can really, and that shows his tackling ability.
Yeah,
but he's not someone to catch up to, like, say we play Bournemouth, not someone to catch up to a Cliver, or you play Chelsea, not someone to catch up to like Gittins, for example. He's not that sort of player, which is why I don't understand why we're not just putting him in his normal position. And if you've got like the Kuiper or Kadioglu there, they've got a bit more pace and can get back. It's probably, obviously you say, they're not massively amazing defensively, but yeah, it's a weird experiment that Hertzler really doesn't want to let go of.
Yeah.
But that's the issue. He has that game where he's really, really good right back, and then he has another game where he's just like bang average. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. Hopefully time will tell and we'll actually change it up for once.
Yeah, Weaver's just, I think, I say he always looks better when he's inverted into midfield, which is what's strange. Well, I say strange, what's obvious. But here we are. I mean, as I say, we came away from the game with a win. It was one of them where I'm not quite sure how. I don't know. I don't really want to start saying Europe and all that because I know we're 5th in the league or 6th in the league.
It's very close at the moment.
I don't think we'll get Europe, if I'm honest. I think at this stage it's too early to say.
I think the game against Forest on the weekend is pretty big because Forest are in form at the moment and they've had this resurgence under Deitch. We obviously lost 7-0 against them last season. We sort of have struggled against them anyway, just normally. They had that really good game against Liverpool. I mean, Liverpool have obviously been poor, but like you still need to beat Liverpool 3-0 at Anfield. It's still not easy. If we can win that, I genuinely, my confidence would be quite high going into like Christmas period when we've got all these games. We're really, really going to be really stretched, like squad wise. And then we got Liverpool after that, so they'll probably come back into form then, beat us 5-0. So
probably. What I've liked about Welbeck this season, by the way, I just mentioned him earlier, was I like how he's obviously taken his captain's armband at times, and he's almost become a player that gets up and down now. You see him quite often playing like almost centre back.
Yeah.
And I was like, do you know what? This is a new Danny Welbeck, effectively. Someone that I've not seen, I wouldn't associate Welbeck from when he first came in to being that sort of player. If anything, the difference he would do, maybe the versatility he'd show is probably off the left when he first signed. But now we're sort of seeing him dropping all the way back to centre-back. We see him defending quite deep. We see him driving the ball forward. He makes attacks happen, to be fair.
Yeah.
He's mainly occupied maybe that João Pedro role a little bit more than he probably would have done if João was still here. I think he's stepped up a lot. And that's something I noticed about the other day. I just thought, he's showing the signs of what is a captain now. Like how we say about him and Minte being the two best players so far this season. I still stand by Minte as being the best, but I think Welbeck for that overall game now, what he's taken on his shoulders and what he's almost taken the club on his shoulders this season and said, look, I can sort you guys out and I'll be the main guy if you like. And I think he's proved it. 7 in his last 7?
Yeah.
That's England call-up material. I don't understand what Tuchel's playing at, to be honest.
Yeah, just have him in the squad, innit?
Just have it. We've only got one striker anyway. It's Kane, and Kane breaks his leg trying to do that finish, in my opinion.
Yeah, but Kane.
Kane's I'm just joking.
So good.
Yeah,
so good.
Yeah.
But Welbeck he's put the hours in at the gym, hasn't he? As well, built like a brick shithouse now. So, but I think that's something that was missing from his game before. Obviously, he would always get injured before, and then. But now he's just a different beast, I think.
Yeah.
I'm just hoping he really doesn't get injured now. I've said that. So.
Yeah. We'll bring it on to the Bart moment. Because that was... I mean, right, here's what I heard after that. Before I give all the praise to Bart, which he's going to get, he deserves. But I heard a lot of, he's got to be saving that because it was a rubbish pen. And I thought... The first penalty that Thiago took was the same.
Yeah.
If he sends Bart the wrong way...
Everyone's
going to say that's
finish.
Cool.
Yeah.
Everyone's going to say it's a great finish. Put it in there, like sort of slotted it, bottom corner, never look faced. Because Bart gets it right, which, by the way, I think I wrote it in my piece, the chances of a goalkeeper saving a penalty is so low. I think most penalties go in. It's obviously, I think, 80-something% of penalties, it might be 70-something% of penalties go in. And then, obviously, of that 15% that don't go in, you've obviously got 10% of them go wide, and then 5% of them, or whatever the stat is, get saved.
Yeah.
So I think more often than not, a penalty is going to be scored, and more often than not, even if the player doesn't score, the goalkeeper probably won't save it because they're left with little to no chance for saving that. So I always, whenever there's penalty save, will give credit to the goalkeeper if they get it right. And Toby would like to hear this if he's listening. And this is all the years of training with Toby next to me talking about goalkeepers. Shout out to Toby, by the way, watch Baller League. But that's one thing that I'd probably say is Bart Verbruggen's moment was testament to him and testament to sort of how he's been the last few weeks anyway. I've been giving praise to him in the write-up saying that I think he's coming good. I think he's made some really big saves recently, but his confidence now, he's looking a lot more commanding. He's still only young as well, especially for goalkeeper. Goalkeepers go to like 40, aren't they?
Yeah.
You don't really reach your prime for a goalie until you're in your 30s. So he's got a long way to go, and I think he's now starting to prove his worth. And we're finally seeing why the Dutch fans were so raving about him being a wonder kid goalkeeper because. That's a good save, and he stopped that goal going in. And he stopped us. He stopped Brentford from stealing the points from us.
It was so funny because I just turned to my mate as the penalty was given, and I was like, we may as well just leave because he doesn't save penalties. He never saves penalties, and everyone was like, sort of agree, and then. Genuinely, about 10 seconds later, he saves it, and I nearly went flying into the row in front. I was going absolutely mental. I still can't believe it. Got very, very drunk that night.
Not like
but, you. Yeah, I know. Being different. But brilliant moment. It's great for him as well, and hopefully it does his confidence a lot of good because we've definitely seen him earlier in the season and the end of last season. It wasn't great, but he's definitely been backed up by. I think a better defence this season. I know obviously we've been conceding most games, but we definitely have been better defensively. And Dunk and Van Hecker look to have that sort of partnership back.
Yeah. I think as well, he doesn't have to have that overcompensation of playing out from the back as much.
Yeah.
Because I think we would do that so much, and we tried to do it for a bit, didn't he? He kept giving the ball away.
Yeah.
Distribution-wise, he's not great. And I think that's where the mistakes were coming from, and that's why people started to slate him. And then all of a sudden, confidence goes down. You concede silly goals, and I think that's what happened last season. I think maybe this season not so much. We've not really done that. We've been a bit more pragmatic, you'd say. We sort of take longer for goal kicks. We don't tend to. I know we did it the other night, which is not a great example of it, but we haven't tend to do that sort of playing out from the back over the course of the last few months. So. It's one thing I've noticed since the whole break thing. I've been watching the football like a fan, which has felt really weird. Like, for the first time ever, I've not had media responsibilities, and I've been doing.
You're not a pundit anymore.
No, and I've been doing the press conferences and all this, and I was like, it's quite nice actually. Like, I don't really miss it, to be honest. And I was quite enjoying being a fan. So that's one thing I noticed was watching Bart for Bruggen. Like, I thought the last few games he'd really come into it, and I can start saying, we've actually might have a goalkeeper here who's not going to let us down every time, because I don't even know the last time we saved a penalty. I want to say it was David Stockdale against Sheffield Wednesday, but
I think Sanchez saved one.
Did he? Because when?
I don't know. He didn't save a whole lot, but I'm pretty sure he did save a penalty at some point.
I don't remember Sanchez ever saving one.
Or Matty Ryan. Matty Ryan.
When?
Stoke away. That was an absolutely brilliant away day. That was brilliant.
Okay.
It's not a great place at Stoke, but...
No.
Good away day.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, I do remember that one, because obviously when Dunk
minute.
went in after it, didn't he? And everyone was like, is that another penalty? But it wasn't, so it's fine.
It's a great challenge, which I think he did challenge the ball with his hand. But,
Yeah, we might have got away.
It wasn't a penalty in the first place anyway. Jose Rodriguez went down.
Yeah. Jose Izquierdo won at Barcelona.
Oh, that absolutely disgusting goal,
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure Shaqiri scored that game as well.
Yeah, he did.
I just remember,
Chris Shaqiri was like banging in goals back then, though. He was like right in his prime for Stoke back then.
I just remember Hesse went down. It was Dale Stevens that gave away the penalty. He was just like holding his face.
Yeah.
The only thing you've ever done in your career, mate.
Not Dale, by the way. But yeah, I think, we've got a goalkeeper that's starting to become a bit more commanding. I think that's what we've needed. And big for his confidence. It's going to be one which he comes away from now. Yeah, he's got a week now to think, made a big save, won the game for us, really. In other words, I think Jack gave a lot of credit for him, didn't he? He said, I would be standing there doing an interview if obviously that penalty goes in. So credit to Bart, and I think credit to Bart. Saw him at London Euston Station after United.
He was 2 rows behind me on the flight back from Rome.
Was he?
Yeah, as I stood up to get off the plane, turned around and went, Seagulls, and he just put his head down.
Yeah, he's quite shy, wasn't he? I noticed that at Euston. I was like, good save, just stay Bart. And he was sort of like, thanks. I was like, right, I won't talk to you anymore.
I had Van Hecker walk past me. This was before I started learning Dutch. I had Van Hecker walk past me a few months ago, and I said, Jan Paul, ik hou van jou. And he just started laughing, which means, Jan Paul, I love you.
Love it. No, JP's a good guy. He is a good guy. And he's a good player as well, so do like him.
Sign the contract, big boy, sign the contract.
Yeah, sign the contract, mate. But no, it's been good to be back. I think it's one of them where it's not actually a great lot to talk about, in fairness. So I haven't got a big podcast to do, because obviously Palace was boring. But at least there was a lot of people there that are really good, and it was nice to chat to everyone.
It was nice
obviously
to get this as well.
Gave you a drop back to Three Bridges as well. He's such a nice guy driving down the motorway for this kid.
Our train was 30 seconds after we got there. It was absolutely
mad.
Beautiful.
Dropped the bomb on me as I was on my way up to the game. I think I got to Purley, and you were like, hello, mate, can you get a lift? I was like, oh, God's sake. Yes. No,
you didn't mind, mate. It was great drive back.
Yeah, it was one of the drives of all time.
It was really bad. Do you remember that road that was just all humps?
Yeah, I was like,
so
where's this
weird.
way he's taking me? But it was fun.
The further we got out of Croydon, the nicer it got.
Yeah.
What a surprise.
No comment. But yeah, thank you all for listening, I think. That's about everything. You think?
Yeah, it's been... I think we've gone through everything. I think we've sort of summed up what was one of the games of all time pretty well.
It seems to be the thing we say after every game at this point.
Well, I mean, to be fair, Palace definitely was one of the games of all time. Yeah, that was really, really poor. But yeah, I mean, I say it, but it's one of the wins of all time. There you go. You can't complain, and I'm happy. It's not a game we usually win, and we did it. So you can't complain. Yeah. And there's this as well. So come on,
consistently inconsistent is what I'd say. But yeah, thank you for listening. I will maybe have stuff in the description. I don't know what the thing is yet, but there may not be. Depends on what everyone says, to be honest. But thank you for listening. Thank you, Chichester, for this as well. And support non-league football and non-league football. Sort it out. Premier League, sort it out. And
ask your mates how they are.
thank you for listening. Bye bye.